Other argument section. What are the possibilities? The New Testament tells us that Jesus claimed to be God. What are the possibilities of this statement? A. The authors of the New Testament are liars. B. Jesus was insane. C. Jesus was a liar. D. Jesus was God. Let us examine all of the possibilities. A. The authors of the New Testament are liars. The record of the New Testament speaks for itself. When Jesus was on trial and before his death, all of his disciples fled. 3 days after he died, they claimed to have seen him. After this, there were many persecutions of the Christians by the Roman Empire. Tradition holds that only Judas, who committed suicide after he betrayed Jesus, and John didn't become martyrs. John was imprisoned several times for preaching the gospel. So out of all who fled during Jesus' trials, none recanted their story, even under the threat of death. At the time of the persecutions, it must have seemed like Christianity would have been an endangered species. If all a person had to do to save their lives was confess the truth, you would have thought they would have done it. At least one of them. They not only didn't recant, but they continued to spread the word. Tradition holds that all of them lived to old ages, preaching to all corners of the globe. It seems strange to me that none of them got tired and fell away. I am sure that you have known someone close that has fallen away. Time and distance will tear apart relationships and ideas. Jesus' ministry was only for a period of 3 years. There must have been some life-changing event to pull all of them together like that. Does it seem right that it was a lie? B. Jesus was insane. People have followed insane people before, but let's face it, do insane people have the ability to present a theology and personality that is accepted in many cultures and lands over a 2,000-year period of time? I know of no other. Jesus claimed to be God in a monotheistic culture, and that all depended upon him for salvation. If he was insane, he wouldn't have been mildly neurotic, he would have been a raving lunatic. Philip Schaff, historian, said, "Is such an intellect, clear as the sky, bracing as the mountain air, sharp and penetrating as a sword, thoroughly healthy and vigorous, always ready and always self-possessed, liable to a radical and most serious delusion concerning his own character and mission? Preposterous imagination." C. Jesus was a liar. Jesus taught the highest standards of morals ever conceived upon this planet. I have seen Jewish scholars criticize him for exceeding what they have interpreted as the law. They say that it is too hard for people to accept the old standard, let alone the new ones. Jesus claimed to be without sin. If this was true, then he was also a hypocrite. He was held under close public scrutiny for most of his ministry. Even the Jewish community who didn't accept him never brought forth a charge against him, except claiming to be God, being a bastard, and not hallowing the Sabbath. His claiming to be God is natural. The claim that Jesus was a bastard is natural given the events in Jesus' life, and is dealt with in greater detail in another chapter. As for the charge of not keeping the Sabbath hallow, it is recorded in Luke 13:14-17. 14. And the rulers of the synagogue, being moved with indignation because Jesus had healed on the Sabbath, answered and said to the multitude, "There are 6 days in which men ought to work. In them therefore come and be healed, and on the day of the Sabbath." 15. But the Lord answered him, and said, "Ye hypocrites, doth not each one of you on the Sabbath loose his ox or his ass from the stall, and lead him away to watering?" 16. And ought not this woman, being a daughter of Abraham, whom Satan had bound, lo, these 18 years, to have been loosened from this bound on the day of the Sabbath? 17. And as he was saying these things, all of his adversaries were put to shame, and all the multitude rejoiced for all the glorious things that were done by him. Compare with Deuteronomy 5:14-15. 14. But the 7th day is a Sabbath unto Jehovah thy God, and in it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, nor thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thine ox, nor thine ass, nor any of thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates, that thy manservant and thy maidservant may rest as well as thou. 15. And thou shalt remember that thou wast a servant in the land of Egypt, and Jehovah thy God brought thee out thence by a mighty hand, and by an outstretched arm. Therefore Jehovah thy God commanded thee to keep the Sabbath day. Jesus is saying that the Sabbath is a day of rest, but also a day of remembrance of the goodness of God. God saves on the Sabbath. See the similarities of Egypt as a symbol of Satan, and the binding and the loosening by God. It doesn't seem likely that Jesus would have been a liar considering how rational he was. If he was a liar, it led to his death, which is against the grain of his rationality. 4. Jesus was God. It seems the only likely possibility, but if you aren't convinced yet, read on, there's more. This book is available to download in its entirety for free at smashwords.com and eventually here on YouTube. If you want to hear more, subscribe to this channel. God bless.